In this episode, I discuss how to stop playing a finite game with your finances and transition to an infinite game focused on building an empire that will last for generations. I'm Nate. I make sense out of money. This is Dollars and Nonsense. If you follow the herd, you will be slaughtered. Simon Sinek was the one who coined the phrase the infinite game when he wrote the book titled The Infinite Game. And I think that it's a very powerful book. It's a very powerful concept that has a lot of implications for many areas of life. Now, it was written for business owners and entrepreneurs primarily, but anybody can glean a lot from it. And I wanted to position the infinite game mentality and how it relates to finances. And the idea of an infinite game, just to kind of give you the backdrop, is that an infinite game is a game where there's not really a winner or a loser. Inside of an infinite game, it's one that it never ends, and you never want to stop playing the game. So the goal of the game becomes to continue playing the game, not to win or lose or anything of that sort. There's no set end date. The goal of the game is to continue the game forward. And financially speaking, I think it has some very strong benefits to considering this, to thinking financially along an infinite pattern as opposed to a finite term. One of the issues I have with retirement planning in general is that it essentially requires us to think in finite game mentality. Winner or loser, set end dates in a box. And so essentially the idea is this: everyone hates working, and so because you hate working, you should save up money in my program in order to retire one day. So you hate working, you don't want to keep doing this forever, so you're going to save up money to retire, and then you're going to liquidate your account over your lifetime, and you hope that maybe your kids have something left over. But it's very me-focused, and essentially retiring is all about creating a finite game where you either win or lose based on your ability to retire one day. That's actually what the game sets out. What it creates is a world where the entire game of working, like your entire working career, your entire life, you either win or lose based on whether you can retire or not at the end of it. There's a winner and there's a loser. The loser can't retire, the winner retires, and that's how you know you won the game. But I think the entire premise of that game is messed up. And you guys have heard me say it on the podcast many times. So my opinion is that retire presents a finite game with winners and losers, set time frames, and essentially creates situations in which you want to leave. Like you want to end the game. You want the game to be over at some point. In this case, it's the game of working. Whereas my current mentality is, and I mentioned this in a few podcasts ago, the idea that there's a difference between the retirement path and what I call the empire path. So retirement planning and empire building are two separate trajectories that use different tools, require different things from you, and have completely different end results and initial objectives. And so that's my idea. Retire is a very infinite game to play, whereas empire building is essentially basing your life upon an infinite game. The goal of building an empire, per se, is that you don't want the game to end. That you're not building wealth. You're not, if you go down to the very core, you're not working. You're not producing value in order to end the game. You're trying to build something that you're trying to build your life around a game that you want to stop playing. And I do think we should, point out the elephant in the room, that it's easiest to create an infinite game financially in the world of entrepreneurship and business and investing than it is to create an infinite game mentality as an employee or, even a self-employed. If you were to kind of compare this to like Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, which I'm sure most of you listening to this have heard of Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he created the cash flow quadrant idea of how to work and earn money and build wealth. And there's 4 different ways to do it. You can be an employee, you can be self-employed, and those are on the left side of the quadrant, or you can be a business owner or an investor, and those are on the right side of the quadrant. And of course, his goal is to go transition to the business owner investor side. And I think that is the side where it becomes easier and easier if you focus on it to create an infinite game, one that you don't want to stop playing. So anyone who's listening to this, who's investing money and in business, the goal of an infinite game, and the goal for all of us, should be to create your life in a way that you don't have to retire from it. If you're going to go out and build the empire, as I said, the entrepreneur has the advantage because the entrepreneur can hire people to do things. They can bring people in to help them grow and build a business. They can create teams to help them build something to where they can operate out of their unique ability and start creating an infinite game, one that they don't want to retire from. If you are an employee, it can be a little bit more difficult. If you are, like, let's say you're a physician and you're listening to this and you're like, how can I create an infinite game? Yeah, that should be your primary focus. Don't think about retiring. Think about how can I turn my career into an infinite game. That should be number one for everybody, whether you're an entrepreneur or an employee. If where you are at right now does not allow you to think along the lines of an infinite game, a game that you don't want to stop playing, then I think a change is probably going to be necessary. I think it's going to be necessary. But the idea is this: if you can enter essentially your unique ability in life, if you can go into the world and work doing things that you are uniquely gifted and good at accomplishing, then suddenly you never really feel this strong urge to stop doing that. Like, it's something, because it's unique to you, it's something you would like to be doing no matter what, then you try to build your life around that in order to create a life you don't want to retire from. Like, you could use examples too, like Warren Buffett is obviously playing an infinite game. Before Simon Sinek wrote a book, he was already playing an infinite game. He created his life and his business, and he's in his 90s with no end in sight. He's playing an infinite game. He's doing what he wants to do. There's so many reasons why I think the whole focus of retirement is screwed up. It's messed up, and it's because it presents to you a finite game with winners and losers, and is fear-based, oftentimes very fear-based. Instead of growth-oriented and empire-building oriented, it's very fear-based. Will I have enough? What's the rate of return? What's inflation going to look like? Will I run out of money before I die? And there's all these fears that if you would just forsake that mentality and start to adopt a new one, things would change. Your whole psychology, the reason to work, the reason to invest, starts to become more on an infinite game where you're trying to unlock things in yourself. You're trying to improve yourself. You're trying to set yourself in a position that you don't want to retire from, and suddenly you're not worried of whether or not your money's going to outlast you. And this is why I think that those who choose the empire building path oftentimes choose different tools and financial and products and investments to get them to where they want to go.
Are you tired of feeling like everyone has their hand in your pocket? At Living Wealth, we believe in challenging the status quo. After all, most of those conventional tools only seem to make someone else rich. Let us show you how to take back control by banking on yourself. Visit livingwealth.com/escapethebank. You'll receive instant access to what we call the beginner's course. This free, in-depth, easy-to-follow course teaches people how to create and profit from infinite banking. We not only discuss the philosophy and principles behind infinite banking, but also offer real-life examples to demonstrate how it works. Even folks experienced with infinite banking often tell us they learned a ton too. So, it's worthwhile regardless of your experience level. Stop letting banks and Wall Street dictate your financial future. Again, that's livingwealth.com/escapethebank to gain access to the free course today. Now back to Nate and Holly.
So if you're going to sit in the herd mentality and just use, with the retirement mentality, you'll just use conventional tools most of the time. You'll use your 401k, you'll use the IRA, the brokerage accounts, the mutual funds, and you'll be happy to do that. And you'll just set your strategy for you is I'm going to put in work, I'm going to work real hard, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to do it for a period of time, then I can't wait to stop. And so during that time, I'm going to save up money so I can stop at some point down the road. The empire building is going to be different. The empire building mentality and the infinite game mindset that you can adopt in the empire building side of things, that path is going to look different. Most of the time it's going to require you to become entrepreneurial. So most of the time you are going to put forth your unique ability in ways that produce profit and it doesn't drive you crazy. So you have to first enter into that. It oftentimes requires you getting good at something. Maybe it's good at real estate investing or whatever it is, your flavor of choice. And this is why, of course, I've always said that the empire building path fits very well with the infinite banking concept. So as soon as you enter into the infinite banking concept, you start just by nature kind of creating an infinite game. Like, in other words, banking is something you can't escape from. You must be, and we brought this up before on this show, where, in other words, you can be in the real estate market if you want to be, or you can sell all of your real estate and get out of the real estate market. You don't have to be in there. It's not the default. It's not required. Same thing goes for the stock market or any other form of investing. You can be in it or you can not be in it. It doesn't matter. But the one thing you can never escape is banking. You can never escape the process of banking. It will exist today when you're 30 years old. It will exist when you're 85 years old. Banking simply is. It's a fact of life. You can't escape. Banking is inescapable. That's one of the reasons why we say infinite game. Typically, people will think of longer time horizons. And so whenever you practice IBC, you're thinking like, well, what's my banking system going to look like when I'm 80? What's my banking system going to look like when I'm 90? The idea is this: whenever you are 80, you'll be like Warren Buffett. You'll still invest money. You'll still produce value. The goal is to every year grow your wealth. The goal is, in an empire building infinite game mentality, the goal is never to liquidate wealth and reduce wealth. The success in that is just to keep playing the game. Like keep being the bank. This is one of the reasons why, when people ask, can I stop paying premiums after 5 years? Can I stop paying premiums after 7 years? When can I stop paying premiums? Once again, you can definitely tell pretty quickly that they are still, of course, and it's no offense, I'm just merely saying they're definitely in the retirement and finite game mentality. They're just simply saying, I can't wait to stop doing things so I can finally relax. And that's why I believe that IBC is very compelling for a certain subset of population and is less compelling for others. And so that's the idea, though, is in my own life, what am I doing? How am I playing the infinite game? The goal is to always enter into things that I don't want to stop being a part of. Things that I'm not trying to sacrifice who I want to be for a period of time in order to achieve some sort of result at the end. I want to operate out of an infinite game. But what this means is I don't ever want to stop building wealth. Fundamentally, that's the idea of the infinite game mentality is wealth will continue to grow and I will continue to produce value. So that by age 70, who knows what I might be doing in my day-to-day world, but I'm going to be producing value. At age 80, I'm going to be producing value. My wealth is going to continue to grow. And so this is what I'm trying to bring up. And here's fundamentally, I think, where the rubber hits the road. You can stumble your way into retiring, but you can't stumble your way into an empire. You can stumble your way, or in other words, like retiring, you can plan for, or you can not plan for, and maybe you'll be able to do it, maybe you won't. But retirement, the empire building thing is designed. You build empires. You save for retirement, you build empires. If you get excited about building something, then you don't ever really want to stop. If you like building it, you'll keep building it. This is the other truth, though. If your focus is on retirement, it's unlikely that you will have what I call the empire, which is something that's going to continue to grow and multiply no matter, automatically, no matter what. And you're gonna have fun multiplying it. So that's the empire mentality. The retirement mentality, it is unlikely. You can stumble your way into retirement, but you can't stumble your way into the empire. So if your goal is retirement, you'll get retirement. Maybe, by the way, maybe not. But if your goal is empire, you'll probably get empire and you'll definitely get retirement. That's what I think is the big crux to this that I don't think people understand. Is that whenever I'm talking about playing an infinite game and getting rid of the retirement analogy into the empire analogy, if you focus on empire building, you'll be able to retire far sooner and far more wealthy than if you focus on the retirement path. If you focus on the retirement path, you might be able to retire, the conventional way. Maybe, maybe not. So that's fine, but that's all you'll get. The empire building path will give you retirement and so much more. And honestly, that's what I'm trying to bring up. I don't even like the term, but the idea would be that in the empire building mentality, your retirement is going to look different. Like in the empire building mentality, you'll probably have enough passive income to, through business ventures and entrepreneurship and investments, you'll end up having more passive income coming into you than your lifestyle quickly. Whereas in retirement, it takes a long time saving money. Savers are losers. Just saving money and letting it sit and not taking hands on it. Yeah, you might be able to retire, maybe not, but it's going to take a lot of time. I think the empire building path, you could technically do it right away, but here's where this is what I think is so fun, is that when you actually get to that point of what we would call financial freedom, where there's income coming in above expenses, and maybe you don't even have to put forth a ton of effort to get it. The whole goal of the infinite game would be to take that mentality and continue to leverage it for additional layers, having fun while doing it. A game that you don't want to stop playing. So once again, Retirement is a finite game with winners and losers, set end dates. It's a game. It's essentially saying my working game is one I want to stop. If you just forsake that and accept the idea of building an empire, I think you'll be more successful at retiring, first off, but you won't want to when the time comes. You can stumble your way into retirement. You can't stumble your way into an empire. If you choose retirement, you won't get empire. If you choose empire, you'll probably get both, retirement and empire. So I hope that's been helpful. Once again, just a mind shift focus on this episode today is to focus on building your life around a game you don't want to stop playing. Play the infinite game. If this is beneficial to you and if you're getting a lot of value from this show, once again, the best thing you can do for us is to like, subscribe, rate, review, whatever it is, whether it's on YouTube or Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We appreciate you getting the word out about the show. This is Dollars and Nonsense. If you follow the herd, you will be slaughtered.
Listener, one last thing before you go. Start your journey towards financial security and wealth today. Visit livingwealth.com/escape the bank. Upon completing this course, you'll have all the information that you'll need to see if infinite banking is right for you. Again, go to livingwealth.com/escape the bank.